Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily television platform for small businesses. Over the past 7 years, we have understood what matters to you, the entrepreneur, the most. And in year 8, we are taking head-on two of your most pressing concerns, that of funding and mentoring. Tonight on the show, we bring you two special conversations. First up, an exclusive interview with the CMD of Raymond Group, Gautam Singhania. And on the other side of the break, we have Paytm Insider.
Thank you so much for doing this interview here on the Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now, talking about your own personal journey, talking also about professionally for you, what perhaps has really helped you in your long professional journey, and therefore based on that, advice for the entrepreneurs who are watching tonight's interview. I want to start by talking about the fact that you joined the family business when you were very young, and you've had a long journey. Two or three of the highlights that you can pick off that, if possible, to talk about what some of your career highlights have been.
So I actually was involved in the family business since I was in college. And when most people went off for summer vacations, we went to the factories to learn. And I got involved with the family business in 1985. And really, I think the biggest learning has been there's no substitute for experience. I think once you get in there off the deep end, I'm not a US educated graduate or something from there, been for an MBA or something. But I generally believe what you learn on the job, and more so than what you learn on the job, is when you're thrown into the deep end in a situation, then if you fall in the sea, you've got to learn to swim. And the difference between the winners and losers are the guys who learn how to swim.
A lot of experts say that perhaps in the past couple of years, the rules at your group are being rewritten. We're sitting, for instance, in your flagship store here in Mumbai, where it's not the usual experience when one walks in to buy clothing, one walks in to buy suits. What's driving that change primarily for you?
See, I think the only thing in life that's constant is change. You've got to keep changing. You've got to keep trying things. And if you try, you might fail at a few. But I think, you just have to keep trying. And some will work, some will not work, and you've got to accept failure in your stride. But that should not stop you from trying.
Okay.
And from your failure, you've got to learn. So you learn, you innovate. This store is a very unique store. We give a very unique experience. So far, it's working for us.
Okay. Can you talk to us a little more about the store that we're at?
Over the decades, I always had the privilege that Raymond would make me things that I wanted them to make me. So if I wanted a pair of jeans, I'd tell the guy, make me a pair of jeans. If I wanted a jacket, a t-shirt, whatever I wanted. And then I said to myself, if they can do it for me, why can't they do it for every customer? And why can't we do high-end customization? And in the atelier, you get made-to-measure jeans, chinos, t-shirts, tracks, whatever you want. And shoes, accessories, 3D printed. And the idea is that you can come here and get customization at a different level.
Okay. So let me look at the big picture, then ask you a big picture question. What is innovation for you personally, Gautam Singhania, really?
Innovation is just, you've got to do, leaders don't do different things. They just do the same things differently. And for us, innovation is continuously coming out with new stuff. Because you can't give the same old stuff. People are not going to buy your product. So you've got to be on the treadmill of innovation. What's new? Like Steve Jobs said, we don't want the customer to tell us what to give them because they don't know what our capabilities are. Similarly, I don't expect the consumer to come and tell me, give me a bamboo fabric, because they don't know you can make a fabric out of bamboo.
Okay.
So it's our innovation that goes on all the time that says, this is new, this is something we can do, this is how we can make a stretch fabric, lycra fabric, bamboo, so we keep doing new stuff.
Okay. You decided to enter the real estate space, one of the tougher markets in the country, at a period which was already tough. You are, of course, in the FMCG space, which is highly fragmented, highly competitive. What's helped you, stay the course and differentiate yourself?
Raymond's philosophy across the board is value for money and trust. So whether it is in our fabrics and clothing that we do, which is, if you do any market survey today and say, what does Raymond stand for? The answer is trust. And people trust us with our fabrics, people trust us with our FMCG products, people trust us with our real estate. That's the core. And the trust comes from your product, your pricing, all of it. Even the real estate, it's a tough market, but yes, the product is good, the location is good, the pricing is correct. All of it, it's a combination of all.
You were talking about this very briefly, and I do want to go back to it to talk about the retail stores that you have, and you work largely on the franchisee model. At a time when a lot of stores are going online, you still do have a retail and inventory where you do have physical stores as well, and you have spaces like this as well. What's it going to be? Is it going to be a multi sort of channel approach? Is it going to be omni-channel?
It's omni-channel approach. I mean, see, there's no substituting physical retail. अपने इंडिया में people still घूमने के लिए निकलते हैं. It's an experience. The experience you can get in this store, you can't get online. People will come here, they will get used to the product, then they might buy later online. But in India, people still have time to go out. Shopping and on retails, you can buy commodities online. So all of us buy commodities online. In retail, in fashion, people like to see, touch, feel, fit. All these things are important, which you can't get online.
So what's the role of digital then in your mind when it comes to your industry?
I think digital across the board helps communicate what the company is doing. Whether it's social media, whether it's digital. I mean, we're still doing online sales. It's not that we're not doing online sales, but it's still a very small percentage. It will grow, but that doesn't mean physical retail will not grow.
Okay. This masterclass on entrepreneurship would be incomplete if I didn't talk to you about family-owned and family-run businesses. Most of India's small businesses are family-owned and family-run. Based on your own personal experience, perhaps a couple of things that you'd want to tell them about both hygiene, do's and don'ts that you want them to keep in mind.
Each family business is again different. So hygiene, do's and don'ts. But a company has a company objective, a family has a family objective, and let's not try and mix the two.
Okay.
So try and keep your business objectives separate and your family objectives at home. And the minute your family needs and requirements, etc., start getting burdened on the business becomes unprofessional or burdened, I would say. And that's when the downfall starts, unfortunately. So keep your business as professional as possible, and I'm not saying a family manager is not a professional. I mean, a young entrepreneur is a professional in his own right because he can probably do it better than a professional can because it's a smaller business, he sits there and he's got an eye on cost. But I'm sure if he focuses on it, it'll do well.
Sitting at the beginning of 2020, and Gautam Singhania, what's the rest of the year looking like? What advice do you want to leave entrepreneurs with? Okay. But how do you balance the two? Because everyone knows about your passions for your cars, your planes, for your toys.
If it's a priority in your life, you find time for it. And it does come down to a tremendous amount of meticulous planning. So I plan for rolling 12 months. I can pretty much tell you where I'm on the 1st of December. But if you plan correctly, so the important things go in first, and then the next and the next, and then there's no time for anything else. So it's like I always define it like a little jar. You put the big rocks in first, which are the most important things in your life. Then in the space, you fill the smaller rocks, which go and fill the rest of the time, and then even smaller rocks. And the least important is the sand, which you fill in and fill up the rest of the time.
Gautam Singhania, thank you very much for joining us on this very special masterclass.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Let's slip into a short break, but on the other side of the break, our focus is on Paytm Insider. Back in just a moment. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You are here with us on the Leaders of Tomorrow, and now we bring you an exclusive conversation with the founder and CEO of Paytm Insider, Shreyas Srinivasan. Hi, Shreyas, and thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me on the show.
What was the initial thought behind starting Paytm Insider? Can you briefly take us through, your journey essentially from the early stages of the company till date?
My journey with all of this started way back in 2003, 2004, when I was still in college. I used to love independent music, right? And we used to have a bunch of friends who used to be musicians, and we thought their music wasn't being heard enough. If you remember 2003, it was a long time ago, internet wasn't as big as it's today. All of music across India was mostly Bollywood, so independent music didn't have an avenue. So in 2003, 2004, we started an online radio station called Radio Verve to promote independent music, and that's how I got into this space. One thing led to another. In 2010, we launched a music festival called NH7 and a platform called NH7 to promote independent music. As you know, independent music has grown leaps and bounds. We used to struggle to sell 20 tickets in 2003, 2004. We sell 20,000 tickets to a lot of independent musicians today. So that journey has been immensely rewarding. In around 2013, we started talking to and interacting with comedy artists, and that became a huge industry in itself. And during all of this, we realized that to really grow the events market in India, data was really important. And what we do with data and how we collect data and how we use it to sell more tickets was very important. And that was the genesis of Insider, to build a platform which really helps both artists and organizers leverage on data, leverage on features which build loyalty, to build a really strong community around their events across India.
How has the transition been for you and Insider.in after the acquisition by Paytm? What synergies has the acquisition led to, and how have you leveraged those synergies?
So I think a bunch of different synergies. One of the things everyone at Insider is really privileged about is how long-term everyone at Paytm is, right? Everyone at Paytm is really invested in the India story and are long-term players in this market. So no longer do we look at our challenge as something we have to do in 6-8 months. It's a 10-year story, right? So that's, I think, been the biggest change, and obviously the strength and the power of the Paytm brand. We can get any meeting we want. We've obviously gone from doing no sports ticketing to be the market leader in sports ticketing. We now do more IPL, more ISL, more PKL, and more international cricket than any other player in the market. So both the distribution of the Paytm network, the brand value of Paytm, and more importantly, the leaders at Paytm who have a very long-term view on India and everything entertainment in India.
Now, I want to speak to you about the untapped market in terms of online sales. Some estimates say only 10% of the revenue of the event industry is from online sales. What do you think is the future of online sales in India?
So if you look at the event ticketing market, the biggest problem is we've always been a country of free events, right? So ticketing itself is a 10-year-old industry in India. Like, most tickets weren't even ticketed till 2010. So the journey is not so much about online, but getting events to be driven by tickets becoming a major source of revenue. And I do agree with you. I think Bombay now, or most of the big cities, have a ticketing culture. People are committed to buying tickets and going to events, but that hasn't percolated to the top 100 cities in India. So last year, Insider.in did at least an event in about 150 cities in India. So there is a market. It's about building supply regularly. It's about standardizing supply and making sure there's a comfort level and convenience in buying online. If that happens, I think, like you said, 10% might be too much. Maybe it's even smaller than that.
Can you talk to us about the challenge Paytm Insider faces in terms of penetrating the Tier 2 and Tier 3 markets? Also, do you have a specific strategy in mind, and how do you see the growth of Paytm Insider in these markets in particular?
Correct. So a lot of the challenge is not actually distribution, right? On the back of Paytm, we have a large distribution in Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4 markets as well. A lot of our challenges is around building standardized supply. Right? When you go to an event, you want to have a good time. You're paid a premium. An average event ticket is 3 times a movie ticket price. So you want to have a good experience. So standardizing that experience is challenging because you want to give people the same kind of experience that you get when you go to an arena in Bombay, right? So a lot of our work is working with our partners, working with organizers across India to make sure quality events are happening regularly, and events become a sort of a weekend plan for most people across these 100 cities in India. So I think that's the biggest challenge, and that's the path we're on.
Can you talk to us about some of the challenges that you've faced in your journey?
Correct. So I think a big challenge has been building this culture of buying tickets. I think each one of this watching this video will know a friend who always says, I can get you in for free. I think it's been the culture of the country we're in. So a big part of our journey has been to change that culture, to put a premium value so that you have to buy a ticket to go to an event. And this only happens when events get sold out, right? It's only when something gets sold out do you realize the value of buying tickets early. So a big challenge has been to build that culture in this country of buying tickets and going to events. The second thing is, you said a lot about standardization, making sure every organizer takes everything from security, health, fire, pretty much all the standard things which you need to make sure you have a great experience at an event, to make sure that is standardized and it is delivered to customers buying event tickets. The multiplex industry has done a tremendous job to take India from single screens, unstandardized sort of experience to something super standardized. You know, if you go to a PVR or an Inox across the country, you'll get a great experience. We need to do that with the event industry, and that's been a challenge.
Now, with you being such a successful entrepreneur, what would your advice be to budding entrepreneurs on how to scale a business?
Yeah, I think one lesson I've learned a lot, we always overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 10. So I think if you want to be an entrepreneur in India, don't be swayed by stories of the West where you build large businesses in 12 months and exit in 18 months. I think it's important to have a long-term view on what you want to do. And I definitely think you can build large scalable businesses given the time and perseverance you have.
What are your views on regulation in this space?
Standardization on licensing is something we talk to every state government about. If you've ever put together an event, there are about 100 plus licenses you need to go, and you need to go to 100 different places to get those licenses. So it's still pretty hard to put together an event. Events are large drivers of tourism in India. So every time you do a large event, people come into the state from various other states to attend the event. So they give a boost to not only the event itself, but the hotel industry, the F&B industry, the tourism industry in that state, everything gets a boost, right? So it's important to make licensing simple. So we've continuously spoken to various state governments, and they're very, very sympathetic to our cause to make sure a single window licensing is available where we can go to one government entity and get all the licenses required to put together an event. So I think that's something which we're looking forward to make progress on.
Now, as we come to a close here, I wanted to simply glean your insights on the future of Paytm Insider. What's next? What's in store for this company?
I think, like I said, we've identified about 100 cities in India where we want to make sure regular events as an entertainment form exists. And events become something habitually people look at every weekend if they want to step out of home, just like how they think about a movie or going to a restaurant. I think that's the immediate goal, and there is one of the things we pride ourselves and why we started the company in the first place is to encourage creators in India. Today, everything from YouTube, TikTok, Instagram is building a whole new creator economy in India, right? These creators are new job builders. They earn money from the content and the following they create. And we want to be a company which supports them and helps them grow.
Sure.
So both a qualitative metric and a quantitative metric, we want India to be a country of creators. And if South Korea can be just such a big culture influencer and K-pop can be such a big culture influencer in America, there's absolutely no reason why Indian creators can't be among the biggest creators in the world. So we hope to be part of that journey. We hope to be an assist to creators and organizers across India.
Shreyas, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we are completely out of time on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow, but if you have any feedback for us whatsoever, here's how you can get in touch. Our contact details will be up on your screen in just a moment. Do get in touch. We love hearing from you. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.